Let's see. Oh, wait, we're live. Beresford. I was about to ask which hole, and then I realized I'm far too old to make that type of joke. You're never too old to make those types of jokes. Let me just say that. Those jokes are for everybody. And that's important that everyone has access to those kinds of jokes. By the way, Dylan, are you able to see the chat on the side?
Yep.
Okay. Are you able to highlight the chat and put it on
No,
screen?
I don't think so. I think you have to do that.
You
I
click on
tried it
one?
once when I saw that you were doing it. I was like, oh, I get it. They light up when they show up there. And then I clicked it and nothing happened.
I wonder if there's something about making you a host. I wonder if that's like I can edit your name and headline and I can kick you from the studio. I can ban you from the studio. I can even edit your mic settings.
That's hilarious.
I won't. That would be mean. It's the kind of stuff that you just fuck with Dylan Day, you know?
That's every day around here.
How was your Easter, Dylan? Did you have a good one?
Yeah, it was nondescript. I had some family over from out of town.
Nice.
I know you know what that's like.
We had the same.
But yeah, no, not a whole lot. Worked from home for a few days. Used the Rode PSA 1 Pro or Plus, which is
Plus.
Plus.
PSA 1 Plus.
I always get them mixed up.
The Rode PSA 1 Pro is on the way, though. Like, they're gonna be like, this one has its own camera. I don't know. Somehow they're gonna make it bigger and better. That thing's there's PSA Pro, PSA Pro, PSA 1 Plus is actually pretty decent. It's a nice upgrade from the PSA 1.
Yeah, it's nice. I like the aesthetic of it. It's weird grabbing. Like I just kind of threw it, collapsed in my bag, and then I was like feeling around for something. I was like, what is that? And then I was like, oh no, that's the arm.
Yeah, it's I like the cable management on it, although you used to cable manage your own. It is nice just to when you're from my position when I'm like swapping mics out so often, being able to just like put the different cables on it. It's a necessary evil. I don't even have my original PSA 1 anymore.
Honestly, when I sell this arm, the arm that I'm talking on this RE27 on, this PSA 1, I'm selling it with the cable. Because you can totally do awesome cable management on the PSA 1, the original. The problem is you have to make the cable to do it.
Yeah.
Like you thread the cable through and then you solder it when it comes out the other end. Which is what I did, and it's about a 10-foot cable, so reasonable in most.
There's not a lot of people that are willing to do that, although the PSA 1 made it necessary.
Yeah, and then that's the problem. Whereas with the new one, like it's completely toolless, right? Like that's what's nice about it. Which when I had set up was like, oh, I can just rip the cable off the arm, throw it in the bag. I don't have to worry about crunching the cable or anything because I can just take it off. With this, not so easy.
Yeah. I like it, UK. Greetings from the UK. How's it going, buddy? SR375. I wish it had a cable clip right next to the threads on the PSA 1. Yeah, I'm kind of a hard agree there when you bring this down. So this is obviously my Sennheiser MKH416. The cable clip is right here. But like, I don't know. It depends on how tight you want it to be, but it also depends on the angle of the microphone, right? If you have like the SM7B, it would be really helpful because the cable comes out right there. So, anyways, I also got the pretty white one.
Well, and even on the back end, like I wouldn't have minded like an optional clip, like because depending on where you've got the cable going, usually mine will go right under the desk. It would be nice to have just a little something that attaches there. I ended up using like a Velcro cable strips to do all that.
Nice. Yeah, SR375 says I used a zip tie to fix. You know what? I wish I could do that. Everything is so kind of
makeshift
fluid in this environment that like I have to tear down because we're going to be shooting a music video in this space. And like that means everything here has to be put out. It has to go in the common area of this room. So yeah, it's going to be I need to be able to take stuff down and put it back up quickly.
Well, you've been in my rig. I'm like half and half. There's a good amount of stuff here that's just installed, ready to go, and then there's a number of fluid things that can kind of, and I like that. I like having that hybrid. Like I always like the idea of like half my inputs being from channel strips and preamps and rack mount stuff, and then half of my inputs coming from a board of some kind of throw signals around. Like that's really helpful.
We got Beresford says, I like it. Greetings from fellow Brit. Nice. Everyone's making friends in the comments. I like it. I like it. I looked at the PSA 1 Plus, but went for the Elgato mic arm, less logos, smiley face. I don't this is no shade on anyone. I don't get the problem with the logos. To me, it doesn't. I have no actual like. I was actually just doing a video today on the Tank 3. And whenever I do the plosive tests, I use this. This is the Rode pop filter. And I use it because it's a pretty stock standard pop filter, probably about the quality of what most people are going to have or going to get. And I noticed as I'm using it, I'm like, I constantly have Rode in the frame of my videos, whether it's a boom arm sticking out or something. And it just doesn't like occur to me to care, because to me, I don't see, when I'm watching a video and I see a brand on something, it doesn't like influence me. I have no like influence over like, oh my God, he's using a Shure. Oh my God, that's amazing. That's the new Shure SM7DB. And that's just not even an audio gear. That's everything. It doesn't have any impact on me whatsoever. And I don't even notice it. So like, yes, this is technically product placement. Everyone knows what this is. It even has Sennheiser on the side. I don't know. It doesn't really have an impact on me. And frankly, you were looking at your boom arm. You think you could probably get that Rode logo off, don't you? Like with a razor blade or something?
Yeah, I mean, you could just. In fact, I thought when I'd first taken it out that you could remove the cloth, like that was kind of optional. But then I was like, oh no, there isn't. But yeah, you totally could just cut. It's fluid, so you just cut it off.
A razor blade, you can take anything off. But
yeah,
I don't know. I'm not exactly sure why people are upset. I do know why companies are doing it. You got to give them credit for it, man. Like this is a video era. Everything is video now. Most companies worth their salt are going to be advertising on their product from here on out, just for the reason that it's free. It's free ad space. And a lot of people are like, wow, you should pay me to. Well, no, that's not how it works. It's their product. They can do whatever the hell they want with it. Yeah. They can literally like spray paint it on in big white letters if they want to. So anyways, that's just one of my small rants for the day. Andrew, which company that doesn't make a microphone stand do you think would make the most interesting microphone stand if they put their mind to it? Ooh. Like I'm thinking boom arm, right?
Yeah.
Neumann, probably.
I'm thinking something weird. Like I'm thinking Apogee. Like I'm thinking weird.
Oh, Apogee.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? See,
I'm thinking like weird company. Like what would Antelope do to make a mic stand? You know,
WWAD. Yeah. Actually, you know what? What if you were Apogee? I could see, but what if you were looking at something like Amaran, the light company that does lights?
Oh yeah.
You know, like a whole Manfrotto arm with a mic on the end, basically.
Yeah, oh my God. The tripod equivalent. Oh my God, that'd be hilarious.
I think I would do a Manfrotto arm. I don't own any Manfrotto.
There's those what are those mics? I've used them in like bigger cathedral live room kind of studios. There's these huge stands. They have bases on them, wheels. The bases weigh 1 million. They weigh things extend up to like 50 feet in the air. It's crazy.
Yeah.
God, what's the company that makes those? Not Barefoot. They make monitors.
I have no idea.
But yeah, it's an interesting thing. Like, what if somebody made but sticking strictly to mic companies? Like, if Shure decided to make a mic stand, presumably the mic stand, if they're being
doesn't Shure have a mic stand?
Do they? I'm gonna make myself eat crow in a minute. But no, like let's assume that they'll do something terrible, like have an interchanging quick release clip system that only fits their mics.
Yeah, Shure has a deluxe articulating desktop microphone boom stand.
Really?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
1, 2, 3, three knuckles.
Telescoping joints.
Yeah.
That's
I
interesting.
actually think I need to buy one of those and try. And it even has Shure on the side of it.
I
That's
see that,
hilarious.
yeah. In green,
Oh, that's amazing.
in fucking green.
I need to get one of those. I need to actually test that thing out.
Yeah, I was gonna say you've given
Damn.
Rode a fair shake on that. Let's see what Shure comes to deal with. Anybody in the comments used the Shure boom arm? It's $140.
See,
Not far off the PSA 1.
yeah, well, actually, that's the same price as a PSA 1 Plus.
Yeah. The Plus is not that much more expensive then.
No, it's like $20 more.
Yeah, because I think I paid for the original PSA 1. It was like, yeah, $120.
Yeah, it's 120, 140 for the. We're talking in Canadian rubles, by the way.
Canadian pesos.
Beresford's got an interesting question. By the way, any tips for a family member, hobby photographer, getting into video content creation? Are his existing Micro Four Thirds cameras good enough? Hell yes. The only problem you're going to run into with Micro Four Thirds is you need a nice wide angle lens. Now, I don't know what kind of Micro Four Thirds you're talking. What was the one that did Micro Four Thirds as their standard? Was it Panasonic?
That's terrible.
So basically you need a minimum 18 millimeter lens at Micro Four Thirds. You can get the 18 to 35 Sigma. They're grand. I don't know if they come for whatever brand of camera you have. However, Micro Four Thirds can be fantastic cameras. I believe even like Blackmagic's cameras are Micro Four Thirds. A lot of the 4K, I believe it comes in a Micro Four Thirds. Correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't used any of their gear. But yeah, the crop sucks. So don't be thinking you're going to be able to film videos with a 50 millimeter without having the camera on the other end of the room. But yeah, like any camera works. It's more important. Your glass is the most important thing. Like this is still my 1080, my Canon T7i, which is a relatively cheap camera by today's standards. The glass on it, that's the Sigma 18 to 35, which is super sharp. And yeah, it's one of the best lenses you can get to start out with on YouTube. So yes, it's very, very possible. Giver. Those TV shows to mask off the brands of obvious things, like it's obvious it's a MacBook. Yeah, and you know what I mean? Again, of course, companies are going to be putting their brands on stuff. I mean, 10, 15 years ago, before everybody and their dog had a YouTube channel or a video podcast or something, nobody really cared, right? Companies weren't going to invest the extra few pennies to put their brand on it. However, now that anytime somebody buys a boom arm, it's probably going to be on video at some point. And companies want to share that pie, man, especially if you turn into the next Peter McKinnon, or, you know, you turn into the next whoever is big. They want to be part of that ride, and you can't blame them. That's business. Ergotron and Manfrotto. Yeah, Manfrotto would actually probably do it really well. Or Netflix, Amazon, and charge a monthly fee to use it.
Oh boy.
A rent to own boom arm. Yeah. You asked about the side shot in a pop survey the other day. Have you considered a camera slider to give yourself another shot option? I'm struggling. If you saw, no, Andrew wouldn't have seen in my I do a studio tour for the members of the channel, and directly in front of me, right behind this camera, is basically a wall, but I have like an entertainment set there. There's a TV. I've got my old Xbox One X that I've got to sell off. I've got the Nintendo Switch. I've got a bunch of stuff. I've got a record player, all my records, the sound systems back there. So to actually get a second camera somewhere in between these two lights, because I've got two lights, the Amaran 100D and the Amaran 60D on either side of me, as well as like all the cables and the massive tripod that the camera is on here, putting another tripod as the second angle somewhere close, because I didn't want it to be so far off like a 45 degree. I wanted it to be more like maybe 20 degrees off the main 90, right? So maybe at 70 degrees or something. And I'm getting it closer because I didn't like the look of it originally when I first did it on the first video. I found it was way off to the side, and it's like, that's you know, I'm in my 40s. A severe side profile ain't that attractive, but yeah, I'm working with it. Like I put that thing up asking because if people were like, "Nah, fuck, chuck it," I was gonna sell the camera and the lens, but um, I'm keeping it. I might as well. I'll mess around with it and find something to do with it that actually fits videos. But it's also I'm the type of person that I've got to continuously do it to get used to it and to get better at it. And I do kind of want to learn stuff. I'm not a filmmaker, but I wouldn't mind getting uh some of the experience. And like this is going to NAB next week is going to be huge for my run and gun. I haven't done run and gun in quite a while, and I'm a little nervous what it's going to be like when I put that camera up. I'm very, very structured right now, and I have been for quite a while. So it's going to be interesting to see me without structure. I completely forgot the Pocket Cinema camera existed. We'll probably use his existing photo gear, Panasonic Micro Four Thirds cams and lenses. But thanks for the tip. Yeah, I thought it was Panasonic that did that. If you can get the Sigma 18 to 35 f1.8, it is a game changer. When I got that, it basically glows up your background. But I will tell you, your camera doesn't matter as much as your lights. Your background matters more than you think. So like finding some lighting and color and stuff you can put behind you, and like giving yourself a little bit of distance between the camera, yourself, and the back wall, you know, so you can have a little bit of bokeh, stuff like that. It's not easy to get it in your head how to do it, and it takes a while to perfect it. Like I'm not even close. I can do so much more with this. It just takes time though. What's that? Oh, I thought you said something, Dylan.
No.
Sit the camera on the record player set on 15 for a slow slide. I thought about picking up some motorized stuff for B-roll. I think, and I'm not sure. Dylan, you watch a lot. Do you watch any like microphone channels?
Yeah, I watch review videos and stuff like that. I notice trends.
Tom Buck. I don't know if you've watched any of his videos.
Yeah.
He's got B-roll in every one of his videos. But his B-roll's pretty sweet. And I'm pretty sure he's recording at 1080, 120, meaning he can slow that shit down to all get out. When you have that higher FPS, though, you need to have higher light because you're taking so much of the. It's
you cut your shutter speed in half. Like
yeah. So I'm watching it. I'm like, is he got a slider? Does he have some sort of mechanized slider for his stuff? I'm trying to figure that out. But then I see these micro movements and you can tell it's super slowed down. I think I just need to get better at that shit. I think I just need to get a lot better at like B-roll shit and figure it out. Maybe get a nice like fluid head for the, I don't know. Anyways. Thilo Grim, I'm switching between the Neumann BCM 705 and the Austrian Audio OC18 in my German Star Wars podcast, and I still haven't decided which one suits my voice best. BCM is so amazingly true for a dynamic. So yeah, which one would you choose, Dylan? You've used both the BCM 705 and the OC18.
Yep.
Which one would you go with?
General use?
Yeah.
Like the OC18.
Podcast. Yeah, I think I would too. For your voice, I mean, the BCM 705 is okay. I feel like it lacks a lot of character. The BCM 104 has a lot of character.
I would use both of them, but if given the choice, yeah, the OC18.
Yeah, the OC18 is a pretty sweet mic. Anyways, yeah, that's a tough problem to have, Thilo. That's like, gosh darn it, which one should I use? All right, here we've caught up. Do a PTZ base for the Sony cam. Damn it, Andrew, I just caught up. For light, the Red Grass Gaming Light US Super Awesome 99 plus CRI 5K 0 flicker on a boom arm with no branding. Have too awesome for desk work. I got half of that. I understood what half of that meant. All right, we'll get back to the comments in a second. I did name this about Spotify screwing musicians. So, Dylan, I'm going to give you a bit of the floor here. You want to explain to the kids in the class exactly what happened that brought you to this?
So as of April 1st, some of you probably already heard this, but as of April 1st, Spotify will no longer monetize any tracks on their platform that do not have 1,000 streams within the last 12 calendar months. And so that's a decent deal, especially for obviously project musicians, people that kind of put their stuff on Spotify more as a promotional tool rather than like a main source of revenue. So, I mean, the good news is you still have that promotional tool. The bad news is if you're relying on any income from any of that, and also you can't game the system by like, getting one person to stream it 1,000 times. You need a certain number of unique listeners, and Spotify is not telling anybody what that number is. So it's probably different case by case, I can gather.
I'm guessing if you've been busted trying to game that system, I mean, that is dirty, by the way. You shouldn't be doing that. You wreck it for everybody.
Yeah, and I think in the beginning, because you would get paid regardless. Like you could have a song that gets one stream in a day, and you'll get your whatever it is, your 0.8 cents for that stream. And the other thing is they moved up the amount of time it takes for a song to count as a listen. Normally, before you had to be listening for 31 seconds or more, and it counted as a play. So now they've moved that up to 2 minutes. So you have to listen to a full 2 minutes of a song at least. Otherwise, it won't be counted as a play.
Damn.
And so, yeah, these are interesting times. And their rationale is like, hey, we're scraping the few pennies that we're paying these accounts or these tracks that aren't making a ton of money, and in order to give the tracks that are making a lot of money more money. And it's like, okay, well, that doesn't sound like a great approach.
But they're also hosting a ton of crap music that shouldn't be getting paid.
Yeah, or stuff too, like that I generally don't think about, but they do talk about in the policy, which is like white noise accounts or like accounts that post nature sounds.
Yeah.
And how that stuff is sort of separating into a separate category. And I'm like, well, yeah, as it should. Like that's not that's somebody hitting record on an H4n for 2 minutes and calling it a track and making money off of it.
SR 375 is a good point, man. So much for the content that's less than 2 minutes. There's a lot of punk bands that are getting fucked with that, eh?
Well, presumably at that point, it would just be a whole song. If somebody listens to your song start to finish, it would count as a play.
Would be fucked.
Yeah, I think the 2 minute rule applies specifically to white noise and like nature sounds and stuff. But for regular musicians, you'll still need to get at least 2 minutes or the length of the song, whichever is.
That's an interesting, and you know what? I can understand. Like I said, they have probably like tons of servers set up that are just filled with garbage. I've heard some of the stuff that's on Spotify.
Oh, they've got hundreds of millions of songs. And so it breaks off into two sort of conversations. Because generally, in the world before this, if you wanted somebody's music, you had to pay for it.
Yeah.
And so Spotify now is basically saying, hey, we don't have to pay for it. Because they haven't set like a standard of quality. They've set a standard of popularity.
Yes.
And those two often are related. But there's lots of really popular stuff that is really low quality, let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're drawing kind of a line in the sand, and they're basically saying if your stuff is not popular, it does not have value, and if your stuff is popular, it has value. And so they're putting this very kind of capitalist perspective on the value of art, which Spotify has been pushing for years, by the way. This idea, like I had coworkers this week that were shocked when I told them the fractions of a penny that people get paid for a stream on Spotify. Like,
pretty
they're like, well, gone are how long does it take to get to the $10, $20 people used to pay for albums? And it's like, oh, for some artists, it takes years before a song hits that number. So
this is why you see a lot of YouTubers still selling their stuff. Like they still sell, you can purchase their music.
Yeah. So now, I mean, it's for most people that are, mid-tier, low mid-tier, and obviously high tier musicianship, you're fine as long as you can drive traffic and as long as you have a defensible market position, then you're fine. This new policy change doesn't affect you. In fact, it does affect you in the sense that you'll probably get a little bit more per stream as somebody, but they've just sort of done what YouTube did. Except this is less akin to YouTube. And well, it really depends on what you look at Spotify as. Spotify has moved from more than just a music subscription service. Now it's an audio subscription service. Now that they do like white noise and nature sounds and stuff. So, we used to think of Spotify as a record store. It's not. It's an audio streaming place. You can get
Yeah.
sound effects on Spotify. There's game shows that I've listened to on Spotify. Like it's crazy. So it is similar, more similar to YouTube. So we have to stop thinking of Spotify as a record store and more as a YouTube for audio, because that's kind of what it's turning into. And when YouTube did this, it wasn't a deal. People are comparing this to like if Netflix started, not paying filmmakers, but Netflix generally signs huge, massive publishing deals to get these titles on their platform. So that it's a little bit of a different arrangement than like the pay for play.
But I mean, even then, like even for Spotify, right? Like with a platform like Netflix, you're bringing the audience to the content, and if the content doesn't work, that's not on Netflix, that's on the content. Then that's when so Netflix is the one taking a chance, and to a degree Spotify does the same. Like Spotify is going, any big artist that's not on Spotify is throwing contracts at them. Hey man, you bring here's what we'll give you. There's big names that like the Joe Rogan style stuff that happens with music all the time.
Yep.
Exclusivity is massive. The problem is like there's so many people at the bottom of this list, yourself included, that are just like, well, you don't have enough. I think there's something to be said for like, Spotify is making it so you have to do your work now. They're not going to be spreading your love. You need to start spreading your love and get people onto your content and not expect Spotify to do it.
It's weird because originally, like let's briefly go through the history of how streaming works. Originally, the idea behind streaming and the rights associated with that were that streaming services, from a legal standpoint, streaming services have to pay you when somebody who subscribes to their service listens to your music. That was a legal obligation. When streaming started, and up until obviously very recently, that sort of shifted in the legislation and in some of the terminology, where now getting paid to access your content is a privilege, at least from a music standpoint, is now a privilege. That's not a legal right. So it's going to be interesting to see if any legal pushback that's notable. Like you said, Spotify has a lot of lawyers, but I think where people are going to have issues is there's major musicians that are going to suffer a little bit from this too. Whenever people release like a bonus track or something as part of an album that's maybe not going to be the most popular and they don't get paid for that, you can imagine that there's going to be some conversations that are going to be had, because it's like I mentioned it to you earlier, Aiden, on YouTube. If your monetization was based on a per video threshold instead of a channel threshold, like that'd be crazy. It'd be like, hey,
you'd be more thoughtful about what you're putting out for a video.
You would, but you also wouldn't be as kind of whimsical and interesting. Like everything would become everything would become super predictable and formulaic, and nobody would ever experiment.
Well, to a degree, it's kind of like that already. If you want to be big on YouTube, you kind of
like everyone falls into a format map of some kind.
It's interesting. By the way, everybody that's throwing comments down, we will get to your comments in just a few. I just wanted to because we're taking a bit of a different approach on this channel, not necessarily across the board. Like we're not like turning this channel into something completely different, but we're dipping our toes into music. We're doing some more fun things because audio isn't just about podcasts or voiceover. It's about everything. And Dylan's one of the most talented producers in Canada here, and we're kind of wasting his talents. Well, no, like you're very, very talented, and that's kind of like, well, like why don't we have some of those talents come out? But then you see shit like this, and you're like, well, why make music?
Yeah, right? Honestly, I think that's kind of where it's getting to. And again, if you have, as a musician, if you have a defensible market position or a brand that's potent, and that's like, I see a lot of like very kind of middle tier musicians that make a living off of their quality-wise relatively mediocre content because they've established a really firm market position. And that's what it takes now to be a musician, is the quality of your product is not as important as have you carved out a way to get above the noise, because that's what you're fighting against. Now we have the tyranny of choice, right? We have so much content and so much music and stuff that's being cranked out by huge people that if you want to get above those clouds, that threshold, you've got to have something potent enough. You got to have a compelling enough case to punch through that ceiling.
And it's interesting with content creation. And I tell everybody this that wants to get into it. It's you can get into any niche you want. Everyone's like, well, it's super like saturated. You can't become a gamer. You can't do this. Yes, you can. You just have to either offer something that everyone else isn't offering, or you have to do it better than everyone else.
Yep.
And I'm not being facetious or mean when I say this, but it's not hard to do either. It's not hard to be original, because usually that comes down to who you are. That's bringing yourself into your content and separating yourself in a way that, like, when you go channel to channel in the microphone sphere, in the audio gear sphere, everybody kind of stands apart. Like, I'll do the odd thing and I'll be like, like I'm getting a little too close to Tom Buck's jokes, where I'm like, no more dad jokes, too much. But then at the same time, I also like the Tank 3 video that I've got coming out, I believe Monday. I compare it to an U87 because why not? But I even acknowledge, channeling my inner Bandrew, because you're separating yourself, you're creating content around your personality. But then there's like, just do it better than everyone else, make it look better, right? Like, have a better background, have better lighting, have a better just a better view of your channel instead of it being trash. Like, so there's some products out there. My wife was watching, she's doing her PhD with midwifery / social work type of, no, don't talk to me, type of kind of angle. And she had to go in and she had to find podcasts that related to a specific type of birth trauma that she needed. And she listened, she's like, oh my God, they're absolute trash, but they're getting millions of views a month or millions of listens per month. Why is that? Because they're the only thing there. So if you were able to do that with better sound quality, better presentation, you would be able to come in and take those listens for yourself. Even if you're not quite as good or quite as capable with the information, you just need to present it better.
Well, it's like there's the old Google entrepreneur process. Google releases statistics every year on searches. What searched the most? What topics? What are the top 10 search things? Find one of those, make a business out of it. You'll make millions of dollars, guaranteed.
Yep.
If it's something people are looking for, especially if it's something that there's not a lot of things out there, given the weird things that people search on Google, you can find it, or even like do it by category. Like, I saw a spreadsheet that was just like the top 15 million, like through Oracle or something. It was like the top 15 million, Google searches, and they're all categorical. So you could do a search and be like, all right, this is the stuff. I want to do cooking videos, right?
Yep.
I want to do cooking videos. What are things people are looking for cooking? Boom, searches, make videos on it.
Yeah, and just be better, or be different. And that's the only two things. But music is a little different, because music requires, and this was kind of where I was going, music requires niche, but it also requires uniqueness, but it requires an appeal, a large, wide appeal. A good example of some bands that have come out recently is, oh man, I just completely lost the July Talk. There we go. If you haven't heard July Talk, go listen to their music. They're one of the most unique sounding bands, rock bands, over the last like 10 years, I'd say. And that's one of the reasons why they got so much airplay, is they were bloody unique and they sounded fantastic. And that's something that not a lot of people have. They don't have that uniqueness.
Well, and it's no different now than it is back then. The only difference is now it's a little more nuanced. Like, I remember seeing an old ad that was, an ad for Chicago, like performing live somewhere in like in the late 60s. And it was just like, Chicago rock with horns. And I'm like, that's exactly. They're like, hey, this is our thing. This is our gimmick. This is what makes us fun and interesting. And they made a huge thing out of it, even though other people started doing the same thing later and doing it better. They made a ton of time because they were the first really on the scene from a popularist standpoint.
Yeah.
And it's the same now.
SR375. There are a ton of very technical videos on YouTube, and the audio is complete garbage. Yeah. And that's
Oh my God. Look up anything for Microsoft Office. Look up anything for a Microsoft Office product.
Yeah. And by the way, a lot of this stuff, it's like what my wife went through with the midwifery stuff and the birth trauma stuff, is because it's so niche and unique that very few people have the knowledge. Again, my wife's doing a PhD. Like there's enough. My wife has enough knowledge on this to do probably 7 or 8 separate podcasts, but doesn't have the time. And the podcasts that are out there that are getting a ton of listens are just trash. They either sound bad, they're presented poorly, whatever, and it's just they just need some people to go, okay, I got this. And Andrew C, kind of the similar. Are you familiar with the insurant concept called the long tail? It's worth understanding developing a niche business. Yeah, I've seen a bit about that, and the type of like niche versus wide appeal stuff. It is an interesting concept. I haven't looked into it too much, but related to music, I think the whole thing I was trying to point out was you can't just be better than everyone else, because there's a ton of amazing musicians out there that get nothing. However, I will say one thing about music. If you have the ability to write catchy music, that is a good example was the song I really love that you did, Singing in the Rain. Very catchy song. And if you're able to write good lyrics to that, you continually do that, and you build up. It's like YouTube. YouTube's the same thing as music. I've found is you can't just do one and then go.
No, yeah, you got to be consistent. It used to be a little different. It used to be a little different, right? When the market wasn't quite as saturated. So saturation has changed some things. I don't think it's necessarily made it any less lucrative. It's changed the game, right?
Yep.
The game used to be figure out that one hit.
Yeah.
That one hit that'll and there's tons of bands that made career off of having one hit. Now there's a lot of those. And so now it's not about that. It's about, in order to establish, what is a brand? A brand is a promise consistently kept. Keyword, consistent.
Yeah.
You got to be consistent.
And I think one of the best ways, like for you, and this is like going back to me beating a dead horse, is through YouTube. I think it's one of the best ways if you want to launch your music would be through YouTube and getting your brand and your content and your style out there for people. I think we're going to a phase where you'd have an easier time Biebering it than you would just trying to release audio, because you're not going on tour. That's the only other reason you're going to get discoverability is tour, right?
Yeah, well, and it you know, when you start talking about touring and stuff, you fall into the same, you know, the same issue is, you know, it costs money to tour, and so you're not going to tour. Well, and you're not going to tour unless you have like a certain number of you know, loyal fan base within a certain area. I mean, you can tour festivals and stuff, you can do that, but if you're going to actually start having shows and selling tickets,
you go to the East Coast, don't watch anything.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, let's get some questions here, some comments. So this is an interesting one from Beresford Productions. I noticed a link in the description. Are you sponsored? I am not. What the hell are you talking about? Let me go. I got to see this now. It was probably StreamYards that say, "Hey, do you want to have this?" That's probably a StreamYards link, which I might go in and just remove. They've got these things where they're like, "Hey, if enough people click on it, you might be able to get a free month." Okay, this already has a dislike on this live stream. What the hell, guys?
Probably me talking.
What did we do?
Probably from me talking.
Oh, want to create live streams like this? Check out StreamYard. Yeah, that's on there. I'm going to look to see if there's any. I don't think there's a benefit to that. I already paid for this for a year, so yeah, I'll see about that. Also, drop a like down below. Get that ratio up. It's 3-1 at the moment. Thylo Grim, interesting question. Will there be any more gaming streams by Aiden? Just do it. I think so, and this is something I've been considering for a long time. Being a game streamer is really fucking hard. I have a new appreciation for streamers that, because when I've done it, I've been lucky because of this channel. When I have to do a game stream to try out a streaming device or whatever, I have instant viewers. I have people talking to me. And you see a lot of these game streamers starting out where nobody's watching them. People might drop in after the fact and like see their stuff, but nobody's watching them. They can't even engage because there's nobody there. When I jump in and there's like 8 people watching me, it's exhausting because you're trying to stay on top of this and people talking. But at the same time, I'm also fascinated by the challenge and I love playing video games. So I actually have considered starting a secondary channel. Now, the Thylo, the reason I say I'd start another channel for this is because I know it pisses some of my regulars off. They don't want to see me or see the shit just kind of clouding up the rest of the channel. And it's so far outside of what this channel's about that it would annoy people. So I think I might actually do it on a second, like Dark Corner. Well, no, Dark Corner Gaming, I think, is already a thing. Maybe DCS streaming or something like that. But yeah, there's possibility of that coming in the very near future. And it wouldn't be one specific game. I would probably just be like sitting down and streaming and chatting with people. I wouldn't be doing any COD, no COD. Call of Duty, I'm not very good at, but yeah, you never know. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll take a poll and see how many people that would watch me actually stream a video game. That'd be kind of cool. Andrew, people relying on a social sharing service put themselves into position for enshittification. Never underestimate the value of having your own email list. Fucking A.
Yeah, so true.
I always said, back when I started this, when you start a YouTube channel, the first thing most people go to is like, God, as soon as I get monetized, I'm hiring an editor so I don't have to edit my videos. I've never seen it that way. I like the editing process, and it actually keeps you attuned to your product for a lot longer, and it gives you a brand. Your editing turns into your brand. The first thing I said I would hire is a website social media person, and the reason is developing that website presence. And like I'm trying to keep stuff on the website and put it up. Darkcornerstudios.tech, by the way. Just can't find the time, man, because you've got to write the articles and get them up and get links. It's so difficult. I would totally pay to have somebody. Dylan, by the way, if once I hire you, you're going to have some website work.
Sweet. Right.
I'm sure
you're so good at that, as anybody can attest to.
Or I'll do the website work while you cover another one of the jobs. Probably that, more than likely.
I mean, I can do it. It's just the problem now is I just don't have the time. But ideally, if it was my day job, I'd have literally all the time. So
I don't know if I would take your services and make you sit on a website all day. I don't think that's what I would make Dylan.
Damn.
Like getting a brain surgeon.
It's so easy.
Garbage. Yeah. But yeah, having an email list, I don't know if I want to set up an email list with you guys because I think that would just become annoying.
Yeah, probably.
I'm not sure what kind of information I could be imparting on you. Like I have friends that have email lists that I'm on, and yeah, I wish I wasn't on them. Just saying. To be big on YouTube, you need to eat more. Yeah, I've actually lost about 40 pounds over there. I saw a picture, by the way. Oh, 1 second.
What's he doing?
I'm here. Don't worry. Just walk away for a second. You can't actually see this. So 2 New Years ago, not the last New Year's that just went by, but the New Year's before that, there was this picture. And you're not going to really see it because it's all I don't have autofocus on. But I'm in this picture on this side. I'm right here. Can't really see it. Looks like a post. This dude here was 40 pounds heavier. And I see the picture and I actually keep it beside my computer now, just kind of a reminder. I started eating well last March, like the March before, and it just melted off. Yeah. And I watched a video. I was grabbing clips of a video from before and I saw me and I was like, holy crap. Like I had the bigger beard, which masked a lot of it, but the face, my God. So yeah, I don't know if I want to be that big on YouTube or not. I don't know. We'll see. Tons of very technical videos. Yeah, we got that. University qualifications joke for you. What are the letter BS, MS, and PhD stand for after a person's name? Bullshit, more shit, and pile higher and deeper. I think I remember that from when I was a kid. My wife has all of them. She is literally a lifer in school. Likely the lack of cats on the stream. I have no idea what you mean, but sure. Oh, we got a new person in the house. Jerker, what is the chance we'll get a review on the Roland Bridgecast and Bridgecast X? You're, in my opinion, the best reviewer when it comes to streaming podcasting interfaces. So I love it. Wow.
Nice.
Thank you.
There's a crown. There's put that crown on there,
yeah,
buddy.
The streaming stuff, I'm going to tell you flat out, like, there are streamers and people that are good at game streaming. I am not one of them. Like, I've covered the Streamer X, I've covered the mainstream, and I'm open to more. And this is one of the reasons I was talking about starting a game streaming channel, is so I can actually immerse myself in that, to find out, like, why are certain things are important to game streamers when I don't quite understand them now, or, you know, it's hard when you're reviewing something you don't understand the appeal of certain things. So yeah, like, I would love to. I've been kind of waiting on Roland to reach out to me. However, I may have burned that bridge. When I did the Boss Gigcaster 5 video, I didn't exactly give it a great review for what it is. Do you think I was fair? You've been using that thing for a while, Dylan. Was I fair in that review?
I don't remember much of what you said, to be honest. It's so long ago.
I said it was kind of a waste because, like, they call it like a live streaming interface when they don't even have any specs. It's pretty noisy.
I mean, honestly, I mean, I didn't use it for anything critical.
I did spend $600 on it, Dylan. That's what.
No, I wouldn't spend that much on it. If you offered it for like 300 or 400, you'd probably get me there. But yeah, 600. You know, it's more than the Rodecaster.
There's my review, buddy. The Duo. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, I'll reach out and I'll see if they're willing. Purchasing them might be a little rough because that's well over $1,000 in gear that you're asking me to grab, and I do not have enough members on this channel to justify that. And I'm not actually, that's not even like a joke. A lot of my purchases that I make come through membership, and I think I've got 6 on the channel right now. I'm going to need a bit of a boost if I'm going to be buying $1,000 worth of gear, because a lot of this gear I never use again. This is the Rode Streamer
X.
This is what I use on my live streams. I don't stream with anything else. The mainstream, my son uses it because he's a game streamer. It's just going to sit on my shelf, so I lend it to my son to use. So if I go and buy the Roland Bridgecast, which I hear is more, the Bridgecast is more for like business casting, and then the Bridgecast X is more for gamers, if I recall. That's over $1,000. And for something that'll just sit on my shelf, I'm going to need more members on the channel. So by the way, sign up for a membership if you want to see more stuff like that. Hey, get a StreamYard sponsorship. You're worth it. I don't know if I want one. Ooh. We're going to see how this year turns out. And I might be looking around at other options or doing more stuff in-house to become a more fleshed out streamer. I think that might be the gig. After this, we'll see. I can't let any more get out. You know what I mean. Jerker. I love the name, by the way. I keep saying it and I keep regretting it every time. It's a great name. I also picked up a Bridgecast and would like to know if I made the right decision. Dude, if you already have one and you like it, and the trick with gear like that is if it doesn't interrupt your workflow and you're able to use it seamlessly in the process of your content creation, you obviously made the right decision. It depends. Does it have the specs you want? Is there something that has better specs or has more utilization of those specs and of the things on it that fit your style more? If it suits you in your workflow, you made the right choice. It's like anybody saying like the Rodecaster Duo. If you need 2 mic inputs and all of the features on a Rodecaster Duo, it's the ultimate purchase for you. So yeah, I mean, I hope it worked out for you. Let me know, actually. I believe you've commented on a video. I think I saw one of them come through. Let me know how that thing goes for you, and I will see what I can do about getting a Bridgecast and the Bridgecast X, or at least the Bridgecast X. Gab Smolders is great at game streaming. Gab Smolders? Who's Gab Smolders?
No,
Look that up.
other.
I'm gonna look it up. I want to see now. Gab Smolder. Oh, there it is. Gab Smolders. With a name like that. Oh yeah. See, I am not a young, or I am not a woman. That is 2 things kind of standing in my way for being a streamer. I get it. I used to have a concept that I wanted to do something called old man gaming. I think I was in my 30s when I started that. Maybe I'll bring it back. ChatGPT to the rescue for garbage articles. I have an article on my website written by ChatGPT. Let's see if you can find it. I have, whenever I use ChatGPT for stuff, I rewrite it after I get it, by the way. Website, some people have a Linktree site and call it a day. Yeah, no, I want an actual verifiable website that I can sell, get some ad space on, but also that can host. I would like to host certain things on my website. By the way, hi, Rick on Mike. That's something that, like, that's the end goal, is to I think Linus started this when Linus started Float Plane Media, another place where it's kind of a where they post all their videos and you can pay money to see all their videos there. Kind of a Patreon, but it's a self kind of held Patreon that they have where you keep all the money to it. The idea of keeping, like, if YouTube ever were to go puff and go away, or your account goes puff and goes away, you're still there. And that's part of what the website would be for, is it's making sure that, if people want to go find Dark Corner Studios, darkcornerstudios.tech.
Yeah, no, websites are still core. It doesn't matter what you're doing, you don't have a business until you have a website.
Yeah.
Like flat out. And there are businesses that don't have websites. There's distributors and stuff like that. But if you're a front-facing business and you don't have a website, get one.
Yeah. The reason for an email list is to promote something unique you sell on day. One day, I'm guessing. It's how the more successful Kickstarter projects work. Sending out an email weekly isn't required. Yeah, and you know what? I think some of those people send out weekly emails when they shouldn't. I think, like, and I'm talking from heart, man. There's a few friends that I know, man. Shut up.
I get so many, like, I have a folder in my personal email literally called marketing crap. And I just have rules set up. There's so much crap that comes in from, if I get more than like 1 email or 2 emails tops a month from you, you go into the marketing crap folder. There are some things like SoCan sends me an email. I want to read it. But like, generally speaking, like, I'm not saying companies because I'm going to get in trouble.
If they're going to sponsor the channel, don't.
Most manufacturers, if you blast out, like, I get it, you got stuff to talk about, but there is such a thing as overexposure. Yeah. And quite frankly, I get inundated with enough stuff on the daily that I don't need emails from this company that I signed up for one time to buy one product from, and suddenly.
Oh my God.
Or I had to register a serial number and make an account for this one stupid manufacturer.
I actually have a separate YouTube or Google account that I don't touch for anything else. And all it is for signing up for shit like that. If I know it's going to be an endless stream, I just sign up with that email and walk away. That's it.
Especially, like, I was a dumbass. Like, at one point before I was in the radio business, I fell for one of those, like, marketing guys. You know the guys I'm talking about. Yeah. And holy shit, do they love to hear themselves talk?
Oh yeah.
Holy shit.
Oh, dude.
A daily.
That's their
multiple
job,
times a day. There's still one guy. He's fairly influential in the music space, so I'm not going to talk shit about him.
Oh yeah. Don't. Let's not.
I get multiple emails from that guy a day. Sometimes 3 or 4 emails a day.
Yeah.
Like mass emails.
Podcasters are the worst for it, man.
And they're hungry for it. They want that attention. They want that attention.
It's gross. Okay, so Jerker, I'm going to be saying that again a couple times here. I've actually been watching you for a long time, by the way, but because of time zones, I live in Central Europe. I just haven't been able to catch you live so far.
That's
Welcome,
fair.
Jerker. I appreciate the support. And again, one of the best names I've come across. That's awesome. I appreciate it. I appreciate the love. That's awesome. Andrew, are you still planning to come to Australia this year to visit the Rhodes Studio and play Kurt Cobain's guitar? Actually, yes. Don't know when. I'm gonna actually call a few.
We're doing it.
Yes. One of the things I plan on doing is I want to interview some people while I'm there. I plan on going and making it a full experience. And I'm hoping, like, I'd want to do a couple things to make like memberships a little more appealing, and one of those would be like full interviews with certain iconic and very involved industry people. One of which I'm still trying to get a hold of is Glenn from Spectre
Yeah,
Media
nice.
Group. Him and I have chatted, and he's like, "Yes, let's do this," and then he never gets back to you. Which I know he's super busy and life is like crazy. And dude works out of his house, like he's in his garage.
Yeah.
He doesn't have like a business. It's like when I saw him, he replaced his board with a Neve. He went and bought a Neve board for like 125 grand. And like I'm expecting him to be outside of like this shop or something. No, he's on the side of his house offloading this Neve onto a roller. I'm like, wait a second, you work out of your house? Yeah. So me asking to go hang out at his house and see it might be a bit much, but we'll see. I'm gonna call him again. And yes, coming back to that, this is the scope of how Dark Corner Studios works. I'm hoping will begin to blossom into something bigger this year, and I think Australia is going to be part of that. I'm really hoping. Jerker, when it comes to audio gear aimed towards content creators, unfortunately, they're more covered by streamers about the features rather than the real audio guys looking at the actual hardware performance. Yeah, you know what the problem is with that too? Streamers, they got in mind what they're going to have, and they don't want anything else, and they actually shit talk gear. You're called an elitist. You're called a snob when you review it. Yeah, all the things. Jerker is a name I chose when I was 12. And it's misspelled because you typed it up one-handed, didn't you?
That makes it that much better.
That's awesome. To say I'm even more of a jerk than a jerk. I don't go by that anywhere elsewhere. By the way, the Bridgecast I picked up for €149 at Thomann, still in the mail right now. Yeah, we're in Canadian dollars, so I'll look into it. I am the well. Just joined the stream. How does Spotify screw musicians? Probably about money, right? Yes. Spotify always screws musicians via money. And
yeah, well, again, what Spotify has done, and there are other players in this space, but Spotify's been the trailblazer, so I can put the bulk of the blame on them. Spotify has turned music into any other type of content. There are going to be some people that, and I don't disagree with this, that music was always eventually just going to become any other kind of content. And it's kind of pretentious to say that it's anything less than that. But music was around pre-content era, and it was kind of its own thing, right? It was artwork, right? In the same way that you couldn't buy or see artwork without paying money, you had to spend money to get to experience music in some shape or form. Now we're moving into the world where that's not the case. The internet is largely due to that. But so Spotify over the years has made a number of changes to how we look at and think of music, and turned it into more of a kind of frivolous commodity than artwork.
No kidding. Jerk, both the Bridgecast and Bridgecast X are definitely aimed towards gamers. Yeah, I just looked it up. The regular Bridgecast, just the audio, the video, X has the video. I just looked up the Bridgecast X. It's like $700 Canadian. But I can just buy it off Amazon and return it. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll just review it and return it. And yeah, no one's the wiser. Because again, $700 for a piece of gear that sits on my shelf. I struggle to justify that for the studio because my videos take about a year to make $700. So it'd take me a year to make the money back on that for it just sitting, gathering. And it's not easy to sell this gear right now, man. Gear is not selling used. I don't know what it is. SR375 should do a Dank Pods interview collaboration while you're down there. I'm actually game for that. That would be kind of fun. Anyways, guys, it's 6:05. We've been doing this for an hour. Thank you to everyone who came out. It's interesting. We're slightly down on viewership on the live streams lately, Dylan.
Weird.
Yeah, people are noping the hell out, that's fine by me. We'll still do this. I think we're sitting at about a year ago. So we haven't grown, we haven't gotten smaller, but I think we're getting different people in now. Also, I'm trying to find the
new guard. Welcome.
How many likes we got? Anyone see how many likes we got? It's looking. Come on.
See, it sucks now that I'm doing it through StreamYard. I can't just inflate it by adding my one like.
Liberty Dude, back in the old days, only the record labels, producers, and managers screwed the musicians. In some ways, more than others. Anyways,
Yep.
Happy Easter holidays to everyone as everyone's gone to Europe. Oh yeah, Easter holidays. That's right. That makes sense. And Andrew, thanks for the chats. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you next week. We're not going to see you next week. Actually, 2 weeks. Probably not going to be a live stream because I'm going to be doing a lot of content from NAB. So expect once NAB kicks in, it's probably going to be at least a video a day. And by the time I come back, I think I come back on the Friday. I don't think I am going to be able to do a live stream after all that. I think I'm going to be pretty shot out. So if I can do a live stream, I will, but just bet on no live stream for a couple weeks. But trust me, there's going to be a shit ton of content to watch. So cheers, guys, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.